recording, so whenever you're ready.
We can go ahead and call it to order.
Not quite, it's 4 o'clock.
Okay, 4 o'clock. Got it? All right. We will call the Green Bay Sex Offender Residency Board to meet. We'll take roll call.
I see 5 members are present. I'll document that in the minutes.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the agenda for the February 15th, 2023 meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. I need a motion to approve the minutes from the January 18th, 2023 meeting.
Move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First regular business, we have the appeal of Jamison Kasner. Are you here? Okay. You can come on up here. This is your first time appearing before the board, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So actually first, do we have somebody from the city, the police department here?
No, he hasn't
Okay.
gone.
Okay. So we're going to ask you to tell us what you were convicted of, how it came about, but we ask that you don't list the victim by name or relationship.
Okay.
Okay? So you can go ahead and start off with that.
My offense was second-degree sexual assault of a minor under the age of 16. And that came about in late 2015. I'd been addicted to methamphetamine for about 2 years. And I was introduced to her through a mutual friend. Over the next couple of weeks, we became friends and we started hanging out together and using drugs together. I'd been told by the person who introduced me and by her that she was over the age of 18. I was not aware of her current age at the time. I introduced her to both of my parents who are here to speak on my behalf as well. I was unaware that I had anything to hide, so I didn't. When I found out her actual age at the end of the 3 weeks that I had known her, I immediately cut ties with her. And shortly thereafter, I was arrested on unrelated drug charges. Well, it wasn't unrelated, I was using, but unrelated to the time I spent with her. About 3 months later, I've been arrested in December of 2015. About February of the next year, I was questioned regarding my relationship with her. So I'm not sure how that came about exactly, but that's my offense in a nutshell.
Okay. How old were you?
I was 30.
30. And how old did you think she was?
I thought she was 20. She said she was 20, and the other guy did too.
And what did the sexual assault entail?
Like I said, we hung out over a period of 3 weeks. And we had what I thought was consensual sex during that period.
Once, twice, several times?
It was a couple times. I don't remember exactly.
And were you both using during the time that you had intercourse?
Yes.
Any questions from the board regarding his offense?
No. Down here.
Okay. Then we also would like to talk to you about your treatment, and you do have the opportunity to do that in closed session, or we would remain in public session. What would you prefer?
I don't mind. We'll do it.
Public session? Okay. So it looks like you received SOT2 treatment while you were incarcerated, is that correct?
That's correct.
And where did you get that done at?
I believe, well, I did it at Red Granite Correctional,
Okay.
which I believe was the Anger Enterprise.
Yep. And how long was the program?
It was a 9-month program, I believe.
And how often did you meet?
Once a week.
For how long?
I believe 9 months.
No, I mean like half hour,
Oh,
hour, 2
3-hour
hours?
periods. I believe
3 hours?
It was like 26 3-hour periods or something like that.
Okay. Okay. Tell us what you learned during that treatment.
We learned about the cycle of offense and different aspects of how we affected our victims and a lot of the things that we say or tell ourselves that make it okay and how that's the distortions of what actually happened and so forth. Granted, this was 3 or 4 years ago that I took it, so I can't recall everything that I learned, but I got an assessment recently for aftercare at Family Services down the road here. And so I kind of talked with him about it, and about how I feel about it now as opposed to how I did then and so forth. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, so you're currently enrolled in aftercare?
I got the assessment down there, and they recommended, because Jim Drake, who does the assessments down there, I guess deemed that most of the offense was due to my drug activity and my addiction, that I take T4C again, even though I had taken it in prison.
Okay.
And I had finished that in November. I just finished that Thinking for Change class. So I've actually completed Thinking for Change twice.
Okay. And so he didn't feel that you needed any additional sex offender treatment, just the Thinking for Change?
As far as I was told by my probation officer, that's what I am deemed to be done with all treatment that was been court ordered. So I don't have his actual assessment. I never got to see that. But
Okay. Any questions regarding?
How are you managing your sobriety right now?
For the 5 years that I was in prison, I was sober, which you would think is a given, but it's definitely not. And for the 27 months I believe I've been out since, I haven't touched anything. I've had no desire to.
Going into groups or anything like that?
I took NA and AA, and the only reason I took AA is because it met a lot more often than NA did. I think NA met every 3 weeks and AA did every week. So I went to those in prison and in county jail. When I was here, I was in county jail for about 10 months. And when I got out, I started going to the other NA things. I think there was a Heroin Anonymous. I never used heroin, but I went to different types of classes for that over Zoom because I got out during COVID. So I've been doing that. I'm also a diabetic, so I was close to death probably when I got arrested. I weighed 98 pounds. So I feel like I've taken a lot better care of myself since I've been getting out and through my incarceration. So those are steps that I've made to I guess, move my life in a positive direction.
I'm in agreement with the fact that your addiction probably contributed a lot to what happened.
Right.
You want to take care of that addiction issue.
Right, yeah. And that's I've been doing my best to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions regarding his treatment? Okay. So when did you get out of prison then?
December 2020.
And then at that time, did you, you've been living at the Trismo
Yes.
Way?
Yeah.
How do you
Okay.
believe that's in Ashwaubenon?
In
It is
Ashwaubenon?
yes.
And you were living with your mother at the time?
Yes, she's here.
Okay, and now you want to move in with your
My
dad?
father, yes.
Okay, why is that?
My sister lives with my mother, and we have had issues. She has a drinking issue, and I feel that I'd rather not have to be around somebody else who has an addiction problem. And I would rather live with him. I get more independence there as well. He's got a whole basement that I could live in as opposed to living in my childhood room. So,
Okay. And you're employed?
yes, through my father.
Okay. How often are you working?
I work every day.
Like how many hours?
Oh, I work 6 hours a day.
6 hours? 5 days a week or?
Yes.
Okay. And then what do you do in your spare time?
I like to sit home. I play a lot of video games, watch sports.
All right. Any other questions from the board?
I have one question. Are you involved in any social groups or church or anything like that?
I'm not really involved in church. I play cornhole, so I go to do that once a week. I also have a girlfriend, so we'll go to restaurants or so forth, but other than that, no, I stay home.
How old is your girlfriend?
She's 33.
It looks like you were charged back in October for a battery and disorderly conduct. Can you speak to what happened there?
That was with my sister, and that's what I'm talking about. That's why I want to move out. That is still pending, and I'm hoping to get that dismissed. The details of it are hazy, as I'm not going to speak as to the details of it, but
Fair enough. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. If nobody has any further questions, we'll have your parents want to speak on your behalf, correct?
yes.
Okay. If one of you want to step forward.
I'm sorry. I parked on the side of the building and it only gave me a half an hour, so I don't know what happens after that.
Get a ticket.
You'll get a ticket.
Yeah.
It wouldn't go higher than a half hour. It wouldn't let me go higher. I put an extra 50 cents in and it would go higher.
Oh,
If
okay.
you park in the main lot, those should be 2-hour meters that run until 6.
What are you driving? I can step on.
The Mitsubishi Galant Silver.
Mitsubishi Galant?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I just don't want to get a ticket or anything.
Sure.
You can sit up at the
All
table.
right.
Yeah.
We just need your name and your address for the record.
Yes, hello, my name is James Kasner, and I live at 2538 Remington Street in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On behalf of my son, obviously, we go back in time a long time when he was having his drug issues. A lot of parents go through that, and he certainly had some major issues back then. Once he was incarcerated, the thing I told to the judge at his sentencing is that you saved my son's life. And in fact, he had. During the 5 years of his incarceration, I visited my son every week for 5 years. And I watched him progress to be a different person that he was. You know, he got his health back, he got his head back. I mean, one of the things he didn't tell you is, you know, he used to smoke a lot. He doesn't even smoke anymore. I mean, that's how much he's changed. He's been working for me since he got out. I'm a building contractor, and he works with me in the office on a daily basis. He gets along very well with everyone on my staff, everyone else in the office building. There are no issues whatsoever. He's a very good person. You should probably notice he's a very intelligent person too. And some of the times that gets you in trouble when you're intelligent. There's times when he believes he's smarter than me, and at times I believe he is. He's actually that bright. But he's a remarkable person, and I'm amazed at how he changed. And as I said, I thank that judge to this day. All right, because you know he was on meth at the time, and we all know where the future of that is if something doesn't happen to change that. So, as far as living, you know, in my house, I have a little one. She's a very significant other now. My wife and I, our former wife, are divorced. We've been together now for 8 years, and Jameson has come over. He gets along very well with my girlfriend. At Christmas time, my entire family, and I have a very large family, they all get along well with them. There's no, you know, geez, I'm worried about them or anything like that. My father passed away last September, and my son was the one that would visit him every week and take care of him, bring him stuff at the assisted living. That shows the caring nurture that's in him today that may not have been at that time. So I'm certainly open to any other questions that you might have. But like I said, I'd love to have him stay with me for a while. What I can tell you is, and you probably know this, and you see this a lot, in trying to find another place for him to live, I go with him to some of these places, and the only people that will accept him are like, they're virtually drug houses. I mean, I went there and I'm going, how can I put him in that situation? That puts him back where he's susceptible to whoever's going to be walking in that door in those buildings. So I felt, you know, this wouldn't be that much for me to have him there, you know. He is paying rent, you know, it's not a free ride, you know, and he brings stuff into the house as well. He brings food, and he cares. So that's why I'd like to have the ability to have him stay there. He isn't a meanderer, and he does just sit around, he plays a lot of video games, that's what kids do today, and he loves his sports. He's not out in the yard, he's not meandering up the neighborhood. He comes in the garage, and my neighbors probably don't even know he's there for the most part. So that's what I can tell you, and again, I'm open to any questions you might have with regards to him or myself.
Do you have any rules for him?
He has to be in bed by 9? No. No, I mean, he has to respect not only me, but my girlfriend, and he's very clean. I mean, he's neat. He always washes his dishes when he comes upstairs. He makes his bed. I give him the vacuum for the lower level. He vacuums the lower level. And it's more than a basement. It's a pretty nice setup. I mean, he's got his own bedroom down there. It's exposures, a family room, a separate bathroom. So, we can have our autonomy on the upper level, the main level and the lower level. And it works out well for him, unlike when he was at my former house that my ex-wife lives at. He was in a bedroom right next to my daughter, and there are issues there. And all that leads to is conflict, and that's what I'm trying to get away from. So
Okay. Do any of the other board members have questions for Mr. Kasner? Okay.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Does he have his own transportation?
Yes, he does. He has a company car. I made sure that was a company car. It's not his car. He pays for his gas. But he's had that for 2 years now as well, so he can get around with that car. And we do have a 3-stall garage, so.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
And we just need you to state your name and address for the record, please.
Joan Gassner, 2085 Tricino Way
Okay?
in Ashwaubenon.
Yep. All right, what would you like to say?
Well, I'd like to say that when Jamie he'd been in this home his whole life, and when he went to prison, he served 5 years, and I talked to him multiple times a day. We read books together, we played games together, and I became very close with him, which I was before, but even more so. And even when he first initially was released, he was a completely different person. And, certainly wasn't taking drugs. He stopped smoking. He doesn't drink. He just he actually just was an ideal person. His sister, on the other hand, she even remarked that she didn't want Jamie to be there. And I don't know, we have this big house with 2 people, there's plenty of room for everybody. And so I never saw Jamie ever be aggressive towards her. He was always, she'd go in his room and start, she verbally abused him, bringing up false things, past things he did, like the drugs or, like child molester, just terrible things, just to irk him. And then he'd tell her to get out, he even put a lock on his door so she couldn't come in. And then with this last incident, when she called, he came in my bedroom, he was playing with the dog, and I came upstairs, and she was on top of him, and with her hands on her throat, and he pushed her up and got out of the room, tried to avoid the situation. And listen, I love them both equally. I'm just telling you what happened. I was the only white witness there. And they would continue the argument on the staircase, and she spit in his face, and he pushed her. She hit the wall. And then that was it. There was no blood, no hurt, nobody was bruised, so he said, I gotta get out of here, because from the moment he was released from prison, his greatest fear was that a girlfriend or anybody could say, oh, he hit me, or he raped me, or he's stalking me, and he goes right back to prison. And so we never thought it would be his own sister that would call the police. Well, she didn't call the police on this act until 2 days later, because he moved to Jim's house at that time, and he took the router with him so she couldn't connect to the internet from her. So she was mad. So that's when she called police and said that Jamie stole some of my things and that that she wanted him arrested. Well, she called him and said, I want you to bring that router back immediately. And he was going to. It was at his father's house. But it's like, he was at work. It's like 20 minutes to Jim's house, 20 minutes back. But she called the police in 20 minutes. So he could not have got that router back in time. And she said, and she had increasingly, she was keep calling me and yelling and screaming at me. And I said, I wasn't home. And I said, well, Jamie was good, but when he heard this, he and his father went down to the police station and, more or less turned himself in because they came to the door and he wasn't there, he was at work. And she said now she wanted to press charges of assault not for taking the router, but for it happened 2 days before that, on a Sunday that was, and this is on a Tuesday. And she was angry, not because she was hurt, but because of that incident, and she wanted him out of the house. And so he left, and he got permission to stay there temporarily, and I truly, Jimmy never initiated anything, and I just feel he's paid his dues, and he's been an ideal son to me. And Chastity's a wonderful daughter too, but they just don't get along, and she just doesn't want to live with him. So that's really what I have. Nothing bad to say about Jamie. He's been nothing but a loving son to me.
Since he's been released and staying with you, other than this last incident, did you have any issues with him while he lived with you?
They had a couple, arguments, like verbal arguments, but there was no pushing or hitting or anything. But as I said, she was always attacking him verbally, and she can take care of herself too. She's some big, strong girl. I mean, I don't think he could push her around too much if that came down to it. But she seemed like she wanted to hurt him enough that he would move out. As Jim said, he was trying to find a place. We didn't realize how difficult it was to find a nice place. So his plans are, and he's been saving a lot of money. He's got money that he wants to build his own duplex and rent half of it out. And even maybe I might sell the house and move in. But that's what his plans are. He doesn't want to live with me, and he doesn't want to live with Jim. He wants to be on his own, but it's more difficult than people think it is when you are a sex offender. So. I just wish the best for him, and I think he needs a break.
Okay. Any questions for her? All right, thank you. Okay, does anyone from the board want to make a motion or have any discussion?
Well, first I want to say you're very lucky to have the parents that you have.
I'm very aware.
Very supportive. And I plan to vote for Mr. Kastner to move.
I just want to make a comment. I know that meth is probably one of the worst drugs that are out there. And I hear from so many people that it's the easiest one to get hooked back on. So part of me has reservations because of that. But you've also been out for 27 months and have maintained being clean. I'm assuming, does your agent you do UAs? How long are you on paper for?
3 more years about, a little under 3 now.
Okay. So, knowing that, that makes me more comfortable. Okay.
Move to approve, address specific.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, you are approved to reside with your father. If you do decide to move from there, you will need to come back before us.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you very much.
Do you want us to mail, which address?
You can mail it to 2538 Remington then.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Good luck,
Thank you
Jameson.
very much, I appreciate
Yep.
it.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Our next appeal is William Webster. Okay. Mr. Webster, you're currently residing at 2414 Manitowoc Road,
Yes.
and you are requesting to stay there.
Yes.
So, how long have you been living at that address?
Only a couple weeks.
Couple weeks?
When I first came in front of you guys, it was at Cash Street.
Yep.
The girl I was living with had a medical emergency, needed my room for a hospital bed and stuff. It was only a 2-room house. So she had asked me to vacate as soon as she could so that she could get everything she needed into the house. I left on the 31st, spent the night in my car. I couldn't look at this place until the 1st. I talked to the guy. I let him know what my situation was right off the bat. Let him know, what my case was, charges that I had to register. He was perfectly okay with it. And I gave him the first month's rent, and I contacted the law office immediately to let them know, see if it was restricted or not, and
Okay. So we did see you in December of 2022.
yes, ma'am.
Does the board need him to go over his case again, or it looked like at that time, all of us present except for myself were here for that meeting, so I'm familiar with the case. I don't need him to repeat anything. Okay. If we want to talk about your treatment, do you want to do that in public
We can
session?
talk about it here.
You what?
We can talk about it here.
Okay. Does anyone want to talk about his treatment? I mean,
He's already explained it, doing other treatment right now, right?
okay.
I am currently working on, I went on the portal thing to try and get my insurance here so that I could start seeing a therapist and a psychiatrist, because I have BPD, depression and stuff. I want to get the proper medication for those. But other than that,
Okay. Any questions from the board?
Are you still working at Resides?
yes, I am. I actually moved from delivery driver to pizza maker. My insurance got changed to basic insurance instead of commercial, and I'm not covered if I'm out on delivery with that. So my boss is actually very understanding. Moved me to pizza maker. I'm also working a couple morning shifts to learn the oven, and still have time for my son. So.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, does anyone want to make a motion or have a discussion?
Move to approve, address specific.
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. You're good to continue at 2414 Manitowoc Road. If you do decide to move from that location, you'll need to come back. Okay?
All right, thank you very much.
All right, we'll mail it to that address then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
All right. The next appeal is Andrew Hines Kaplan. Does not appear that he's here. Does somebody want to make a motion?
Well, I forget what we normally do. Do we normally table it or
Oh.
deny it?
No, we'll make a motion to deny the application since he's not present. Correct?
And then you can just submit a new application?
Correct.
Okay. I'll make that motion to deny.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay. All right. Next appeal is Miles Whitman.
Take my jacket off? or-
No, you don't have to. You can keep it on if you want.
It's kind of cold outside.
Yep, I understand. Okay, so Miles, you were here back in August of 2021, and we approved you to reside at 531 South Van Buren. correct?
That was correct, yes.
Yep. And then we were going to see you again in November of 2021, but you were currently at the Brown County Jail on a probation violation and failed to withdraw your application. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. And so now, we're seeing you almost 2 years later, and you want to reside at 421 Cherry Street.
That's correct.
Okay. So, I have very brief notes about your initial appearance back in August of 2021. So I personally would like you to kind of talk about what you were convicted of. And when you do that, please don't talk about the victim by name or relationship.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I was convicted of child porn,
Okay,
child pornography.
okay. And how did that get brought to light?
It happened in like 2015.
Okay. But how did the police know that you were looking at pornography?
Google reported it
Okay,
in 2016, a year later.
okay. And then when the police confronted you about it, did you tell them that, yes, you were looking at child pornography?
At first I denied it, and then when they took me to the police department, they had me write a statement and I admitted to it,
Okay,
so.
all right. And then when you went to court for that, how much time did you get?
3 in, 3 out, but I only did 9 months.
How come you only did 9 months?
I did 2 years in county jail.
Oh, waiting to go to prison?
Yeah,
Okay,
my old public defender kept postponing all my hearings, so they held me in county for 2 years.
okay, gotcha. And then, why do you think you were looking at child pornography?
I was not on medication, I was depressed, lonely, things like that.
All right. Does anyone else have questions about his case?
No.
Okay. If we want to talk about any kind of treatment, do you want to do that in public session, or would you prefer to go into closed?
It's fine here.
Okay. So, back in 2021, you were on medication for depression, anger, and anxiety, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Are you still on that medication?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And does that medication help you so that you're not still feeling depressed? Like, what's going to stop you from looking at the pornography again?
It helps me with my depression, and I talk to my mom here and there,
Okay.
so when she's
Okay.
not working.
All right. And do you still go to Circles of Support?
Not anymore.
No? How come you don't go there anymore?
I lost their number.
Oh, okay. All right. And do you do any kind of sex offender treatment, or are you all done with that?
I'm not in the old group anymore, Marshall's group. I'm in a new group with, I know his name is Pablo,
Okay, sure.
and I just started in December
December? Okay.
7th of last year.
And do you know how long you're going to have to go to that?
My agent didn't tell me, she just referred me to that group. Probably until I'm off probation.
How long are you on probation till?
I got until October of this year. Or until I'm done with the homework, whichever,
Okay.
which is only 16 steps. So,
Okay. All right, does the board have any questions regarding his treatment?
No.
Okay. All right. So in November of 2021, like I said, you were requesting to move to Van Buren Street, but you were currently being held in the Brown County Jail for a probation hold.
yeah.
What was the reason for that hold?
Lie detector, I failed a lie detector test on 2 questions.
And what were those questions that you
being on the
failed?
internet and being around minors.
And so you really were on the internet and you
Yes.
really were with minors?
Yes,
And those were against your rules?
yes.
Okay. And then what ended up happening to you?
I got sent to prison for a year.
Okay. Do you still have those restrictions with no internet or no
Yes.
contact with minors?
Yes,
And have you had any contact?
no.
And how do you stop from having the contact with
Like when
them?
I'm on the city bus, I sit in the front seats by the bus driver, and they're in the back seats. And if they get any closer, I pull the cord and I get off the bus.
Okay. What about if you were shopping? If you were
I'm usually
grocery
with
shopping?
my mom and sister,
Okay.
so I don't have that interaction. If my mom leaves an aisle, I'm with her at
Okay.
all times.
All right. What kind of things do you do for fun?
Spend time with family when I can.
Okay. Anything else?
Not really.
Like, do you go to the library?
I don't know if I'm allowed without my agent's approval,
Okay.
because kids do go there,
Yeah.
so I don't want to risk that.
Okay.
I did last month, back in November, I got approval to go to Pulaski to visit with family while my niece was not there. And that was only one time. So,
Okay. What about going out to eat? Do you go out to eat?
I think either tomorrow or Friday, they're gonna take me to Texas Roadhouse, my mom and sister.
Okay, so you don't ever go really anywhere by yourself?
I only went to like Subway a few times by myself, McDonald's here and there, and I'm trying to save money, not spend money,
Okay.
so.
Okay. Does the board have any questions?
Yes, I do.
So when
Okay.
you had that parole violation of being around minors, where was that location? Did you go to a park or a mall or something, or
It was
where was
right
that
across the
contact
street
made?
from my house,
Say that
my
again?
apartment. There's a house across the street where I was residing, and there was a kid living there, and that's where the interaction happened.
So you walked across the street to talk to the
She
kid?
was on my side of the street, and I was talking to her,
Okay,
and I got in trouble for it.
okay.
I'm being honest, you
Yep.
know,
All right.
so.
Does that answer your question, Alex?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, did you have a question?
Yeah, are you currently working?
I'm on disability, SSI,
Okay.
so I am trying to look for a job. I'm waiting on DVR to send me an application, but I haven't received nothing,
Okay.
so
Do you have transportation?
I use the city bus right now. I don't drive.
Okay, thanks.
Don't forget.
Yeah.
Mr. Fields.
Yeah, if we don't have any further questions for him, I'd like to have the gentleman that wants to speak on his behalf or against him, I can't remember which it is.
It would be, I guess, my name is Matt Peterson. I'm a Lutheran Social Services, Department of Health Services, ORS case manager. ORS, OARS, Opening Avenues for Reentry Services. I work with his agent. We work with populations who have significant mental health issues, who have either are at risk or have proven to be at risk for violation when they get out of prison. I've worked with Miles since May of last year in pre-release. He released from prison October 18th. He was at the TLP on Shawano through the DOC up until the 14th of this month. We had a couple extensions granted for us for him to stay there because it is nearly impossible to find him housing at this point. We are My Sober Living, the Cherry Street address is really the only option we have for him. He can't go to AW because of their SO policies. He can't go to St. John's because of the Department of Corrections policies. We tried a couple other sober living houses in the area, but the thing is with Mr. Whitman is he doesn't have an AODA problem. He's never had a drug or alcohol problem, so he doesn't meet the criteria for some of those higher end sober living houses like Garjun. So my sober living was the only option at this point. Otherwise, he's going to live on the street basically. I can speak to when we were talking about transport. I meet with him weekly. So he'll meet his agent weekly, and then he'll meet with me on a different day. So he's got 2 different contacts throughout the day. I work with Terry Cook, the director at My Sober Living. I have a couple other people placed there. He's very he knows what Miles' conviction is and what his needs are. We monitor, make sure he doesn't access any internet. That we do what we can to have that avoided. He's goes to SOT 2 Wednesdays, and then if he needs transportation to Brown County Community Treatment Center for his psych appointments, I'll bring him there. Right now, we're working on. I'm working with the ADRC to help him get reacclimated into possibly a sheltered workshop or some type of part-time employment to fill that time because Miles has a lot of free time, and a lot of his issues are he's told me this, he doesn't want to go outside because he doesn't want to have contact with minors. So we're gradually trying to get him reacclimated to what's a safe spot and what's not. But it's taken a little bit. We had a family care assessment with him and he just missed the cutoff. So he was unfortunate on that end, but we're doing what we can here. He will be on ORS until he completes supervision in October, October of this year.
Does that mean once he's done with ORS that he would not be able to stay at the My Sober Living?
No, he can stay at My Sober Living for as long as he pays the rent and as long as he follows the house rules.
Okay.
So for instance, I have another gentleman there who's been there for about 1.5 years. So there's no, Garjun has a limited time that he can be there temporarily. My Sober Living is as long as they follow the rules and they're, respectful and they're paying the monthly fee, he can stay for as long as he wants.
And how many people reside in there?
It is my understanding right now that there are 5 other people, I believe.
And are they all males?
Yes.
Okay. And this, I apologize if this seems like a ridiculous question, but by putting him in a location where most of the clientele probably have AODA issues, that's not a concern that he could be affected by or persuaded to use?
No, and the reason that is, his agent and I had a conversation along with the ORS treatment team, is Miles has never had an AODA issue, ever. So typically what we see in that is if he's surrounded by that population, the odds are very much lower that he would start to use those drugs if he's never had that history in the past. I can't guarantee that he will, but then, again, if he was allowed at St. John's or NEW, he's going to be exposed from that anyway. But I think at this point, he's a very low risk for that, for getting involved with or anything like that.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone have questions for him? No. All right. Thank you, I appreciate it. Did you get his info?
We didn't get an address.
Okay, sir, could you just provide address for, if you want to use the Lutheran Social Services address?
Yeah, it'll be LSS Wausau, and the physical address there is 115 North 6th Street, Wausau, Wisconsin.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
Okay. Well, I'll be honest with you, Miles. I was initially leaning towards denying you partly because of your last rule violation, and knowing that you had to go back to prison for violating those sex offender rules. But this gentleman has helped me kind of sway me the other way. I feel a little bit more comfortable knowing everything that he's just said, so that's how I feel. Does anyone have any comments or questions that they'd like to talk about yet?
I've had customers that I work with who live at my place before. Terry runs a tight ship. I'm not even close to being concerned about any drug use or anything of that nature, so to see the proof as well.
Okay. All right.
Question.
Yes.
Do you have access to the internet anywhere?
No. The phone I have now, it's called Gab Wireless. It's kid safe. No internet, no nothing. My mom ordered it for me 2 years ago.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Move to approve.
Well, just for the
Go
record,
ahead.
so you guys know why I vote no. I empathize with the fact that it's difficult to find housing, but with that last probation violation, just being a person across the street, you would be in a location on Cherry Street there that you're right next to the Brown County Library, right next to the YMCA, places where it's very likely children will be congregating. And I'm just not convinced that you're not going to interact with that population yet. Maybe in a little bit of time, and proving that you didn't do that. Maybe I'd change my vote, but for now, I'm going to vote to deny it.
All right. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to approve, address specific.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so you are approved to stay at the 421 Cherry Street. Obviously, you heard some concerns from the board, so I would keep those in mind. If you do decide to leave that location, you do need to come back before us.
All right.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right now, I'm staying at the Village Inn right now, temporarily.
yeah,
So I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna get all my stuff from there to there.
okay.
Come on.
I
don't know
think,
if I'm gonna move. I'm sure tomorrow or Friday, I don't know yet.
okay,
Miles, you and I will talk
Yeah.
about that tomorrow.
yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Yeah, have a good night.
You too. Okay, is there any other business that we need to discuss? No? Our next meeting is scheduled for March 15th, 4 o'clock, same room,
Yes.
okay? Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we're good to go, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Aye.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right.
Recording stopped.